You've been practicing something else there. Not sure on that cue there, but. Well, good morning, everyone. There's no voice this morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our council meeting of Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. We had a published agenda on our website. At this point, we will stand and sing our national anthem. Well, anybody watched the last few Blue Jay games in Toronto, but I think that's one of the biggest flags when they roll it out. It's pretty well half the stadium, which is great. All right. So, like as I said, we had a published agenda that was on our website. Are there any additions or deletions for today's agenda? Seeing none, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Dubik, Councillor Allwood, all in favor? That is carried. See, Councillor Allen is on Zoom. Okay, since there's no additions or deletions, we have approved agenda. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest with regards to our approved agenda? When it rises at the time, you can declare it then. I see from our clerk, there are no one registered for open forum this morning. We're moving right into presentations and delegations. We have two delegations this morning. First one is on 6.1 is Melissa and Kevin Lloyd with regards to speed reduction request for third line A. And good morning, and come on up to the podium there, and we'll have a listen. And good morning.
Good morning. I'm Melissa Lloyd, my husband Kevin Lloyd. And yeah, we would like to try and get the speed limit reduced from 80 kilometers to 60 kilometers on third line A, not the whole road, but roughly from the bottom of the very steep hill to the north of Vinegar Hill Farms.
So we bought the property and there's a farm access there now. And we'd like to keep that as the residential driveway. But the speed limit and the line of sight will let us that. So we'd like to lower the speed limit.
We believe that it would be safer to keep the driveway where it currently is, as opposed to having the driveway at the bottom of the hill, especially in the winter. If somebody's doing 80 kilometers and they're going down that hill and we pull out, there's no way anybody could stop if they were doing 80 going down that steep hill.
Okay, so I'm just looking at some pictures. Do you want to give a little speak to these pictures that are in front of me, or would you like to speak to any of those?
Yeah, so that's just the best pictures I could kind of get for showing the steepness of the hill and how coming out of any driveway on the road, really, you can't see going over the hill.
So I see a driveway with the mailbox. Is that the Is it the driveway you're talking
That's
about?
the neighbors at the bottom.
Okay, okay, the bottom of the hill. So it's across the street from it, or across the road.
Same side of the road,
Oh, same
but
side,
at the top of the hill
the top of the hill. Okay.
is where
I
our
get the right
driveway
picture.
is.
Okay, so I have this one here. That's got the mailbox. So it's further up the drive, is that right?
That's looking south.
Yeah, so that's if you were driving south.
That's bigger than that mailbox.
Okay. Is there 911 at the property itself? There's, it's just like you said, a farm access, right? So they
Yeah.
wouldn't have one. All right. Has everybody seen these pictures? Okay, Tom, have you seen? Guess I'm late to the party. Okay, if you have, so, so you want you want to, I understand, put a house in there and you want to improve the driveway. And you're being asked to move the driveway. So where exactly are you being asked to move the driveway, just in relation to where you want to put the driveway?
The bottom of the hill, so right beside the neighbors at the bottom.
I see.
So in one of the files that I sent shows a copy of the driveway where they want it to be.
Okay, I thought I did that. I didn't see it, but. Oh, yes, right, further down, right.
Yeah,
Right,
that's right at the south.
Yeah.
So we
Okay.
can see the line of sight's longer there if we look up the hill. And it matches the 80-kilometer sight line. But as soon as that sight line is done, we can't see anything, like nobody can see us come over the hill. So even though the sight line's smaller up top, we can see them farther. And I think our chances are better. We can see all the way down the hill to the left and up kind of to the rolling hills on the right.
And so you're asking it to be reduced to 60?
Yeah,
That would follow the guidelines for that.
for the line of sight,
For the
yeah.
line of sight.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go to, is there any questions of clarity then from council members? You're already clear. Okay, well, thank you very much for your presentation. At this point, is there any motions from council? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much, Member Green. Receive the delegation for information and ask for a staff report on the implications of this
Sure.
change.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do I have a seconder for that? Councilor Dubik, just gonna second that.
Yep.
I see two hands and so the motion's on the floor to receive for information and ask for a staff report. Any further discussion on that? Councilor Dubik.
So just want to thank you for coming in and explaining the situation, and do appreciate that when you're actually driving on that road. I know myself, I don't go 80. I do reduce my speed. So intuitively, do appreciate you, sort of it makes sense to come in and ask for this, and we'll see we'll get a report back. And from there we can provide some action after a staff report.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Councilor Lohead, you have a question?
Thank you, Member Queen. I guess I'm just saying that I hope that in the staff report, I'm a little confused as to if in your opinion, this new entrance is going to be less safe, why it's the opinion of our staff that the new entrance should be put there. I understand it's a line of sight thing, but I mean, if in your opinion, you think it's going to be less safe, clearly our staff disagree with that. And so I'm just hoping that there's
Probably from the technical point for the sight line.
Exactly. So I guess what I'm asking is that I hope that technicality is explained in the staff report, because there's something that I'm not understanding here.
There has been times where council has lowered the speed limit to accommodate for driveway entrances in the past.
Mhm.
So, but that'll be up to council to do that. But then you have to, if you lower the speed limit, and then you have to create a bylaw that shows it from which spot to what spot is that lower speed limit. So, and posting it too.
There
Okay.
is already a hidden driveway sign right before the current entrance. So it's been used as the driveway, but I guess just because there's gonna be a house built there. But the hidden driveway sign is already there.
Any other comments, questions? So we'll get so when you're looking at doing something next spring, or when are you looking at doing? Okay,
Hopefully.
okay. So I mean, you're not doing something in 2 weeks' time, right? So there's a bit of time there for that. Okay. Well, go ahead, Councillor Elwood.
Thank you, Mayor McQueen. So thank you for coming in today and explaining the situation. What triggered the requirement to move the driveway? Did you apply for a building permit and they reviewed that situation, or
When
just so?
we bought the property in May of 24, it was disclosed to us after the sale that the driveway had to be moved in order to build,
To get an entrance permit.
to get an entrance permit.
Right. Okay, thanave you.
And the driveway that's there now is, you said it's an existing
It's an
field
existing.
driveway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which could have been there for the day the road was built. Who knows, right?
I remember when those lots were severed.
Right, so, okay, so no other discussion on that. The motion's on the floor. All in favor? So that motion has been carried, so it'll be probably a few council meetings before we get that report back, but certainly keep an eye open, or maybe there'll be communication when that's coming forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome to stay the rest of the day and see what we do here. Anyway, you're welcome. All right. So moving on to our agenda, then our next presentation is item 6.2. And this is Aakash Desai, I know that name, and Jenny Hanley with regards to the Hanley Institute grant request. So come on up to the podium. Welcome. Mr. Aakash Desai should know this chambers very well.
Yep. I miss it sometimes.
No doubt.
Good afternoon, Mayor McQueen and members of council. I want to note, Councillor Allen, your magnanimous personality is missed in person. My name is Aakash Desai, and I'm the treasurer for the Hanley Institute. I have with me today Jenny Hanley, the executive director of the Hanley Institute, and we are grateful for the opportunity to speak to you today about the tangible impacts of our programs on the youth in Grey Highlands. And I also want to take a moment to express our gratitude for the past contributions that this council has made to the Hanley Institute. The Hanley Institute is a youth-focused charitable organization located in Fleshenden, dedicated to supporting young people through education, mentorship, and community connection. Since opening our doors, we've become a trusted local space for youth to learn, grow, and build confidence in a safe and supportive environment. Today, we'd like to share a brief overview of our programs, the measurable progress we've seen in the community, and the feedback we've received from families and partners. We'll also be asking council to consider an annual partnership contribution that will help us continue this important work for the youth of Grey Highlands. Jenny will start by speaking briefly about our programs and their impact, and then I will share a bit about our financial health.
Okay, hey. So our after school the night programs, we get the minimum 10 students up to 35. However, saying that last Thursday, we had 50 students in one evening. We have students from all over Grey Highlands and Southgate, and we even have a few from West Grey. We have 10 homeschooled students who attend our programs, and for a few of them, this is a major interaction with youth their age. Our attendance keep going up with parents calling, reaching out to see what programs their children can attend. I will be honest, there's some that are disappointed because our programs are youth, and they'd like their little ones to start coming. So I tell them that that's something that they can look forward to in the years to come. During lunches, we are also open, and we've also had students come over and do online learning during school time. They just find that the space is quiet and it's an easy environment for them to keep working. With our new kitchen that we just renovated with the grant money from Trillium, I'm telling you guys, it's a beautiful space, and we have an opening December 6th at 5 p.m. for anyone that's interested. But we know that our numbers are also going to go up with this new space. We have 15 dedicated volunteers who spend their time weekly to make the programs hit their full potential. This allows us not to cap any of our programs. Besides D&D, we had to cap it because we don't have any more dungeon masters. So by all means, if any of you guys are dungeon masters and want to donate on a Tuesday night, we have kids on a waiting list. We also have 17 more volunteers throughout the year that come and volunteer for different projects. We have a full-time therapist who is dedicated to be there Tuesday on Thursdays. So this is again because of the Trillium grant and being to redo the kitchen area. We've designated one of the rooms to being a therapist room. So she is there Tuesdays and Thursdays. She is just open and she's already has 35 students from the area, which is pretty amazing. Also Wednesdays and Thursdays, this is not youth, this is seniors, but we have men and lady seniors club. So they come in the mornings, they have their coffee, tell their stories, go home. And on Wednesdays, we also have where seniors come together and paint. So and this is all before students come in during the day on Wednesdays. Just to give you an overview on average, this is how much food we go through in a week. Around 90 homemade muffins, 4 pounds of carrots plus other cut vegetables, 64 granola bars, 2 bunches of bananas, apparently bananas aren't a huge thing, and a bushel of apples. So this is not including the extras. So whenever kids are like, let's make French toast, let's make this, let's make that. That's not including that. That is just whenever they come from school, that food is available, ready for them to eat. So our measured progress. So over the years, the work we've done at the Hanley has continued to impact both the youth and the community. Just the past year, 7 of our older youth secured employment right in our own community and still have jobs till this day. But the true impact became most evident this past year. Earlier this year, I became seriously ill with kidney failure and was hospitalized in London for a month. Following that, I was unable to work for months. While I was in the hospital, I had volunteers, community members, former students, and even current youth participants reach out, not just to express concern, but to ask, how can they be helpful? What can they do to keep the Hanley going? What moved me the most was seeing the older youth coming back and stepping up to guide the younger youth, encouraging them to be better selves. So I'll be honest, I cried more about the youth stepping up than me dying in the hospital. It was very heartwarming. Most people have to die to see the impact. Thankfully, I didn't. And I got to see the importance that the work the Hanley Institute and the team has done, not just with our youth, but in the community as a whole. I was able to see the youth and the community come together to keep the Hanley alive and running for older youth who needed running for the other youth who needed a fun and place safe to go. My partner Stan and Shelby daughter became my personal receptionist while I was in the hospital, a job they say they never want again, not because I was sick, but because it was so stressful. They often remarked that handling the calls and the messages were more stressful than their own daily jobs. But it was clear that people deeply care about this place and the value, and more importantly, about the youth we serve. Programs kept running and the space remained open, and the sense of community only became more apparent. Some youth sent me pictures of the caption with captions so I can continue to post on social media so people would know what we were up to. Others offered to bake, clean, and even mow the grass or run activities. The initiatives, the care, the pride, and the youth and community demonstrated spoke volumes about the value that we work so hard to instill. Kindness, empathy, dedication, giving back, and community. We are not asking for a handout. We have already done the work. We have proven the results. Supporting the Hanley Institute is not just helping a project, being an investment in the next generation and community, giving youth the tools, confidence, and support to become their best selves.
Right. And I'll provide the hard emotionless numbers, unfortunately. So as of August 31, 2025, the Hanley Institute has raised approximately $85,000 through community donations. That includes nearly $40,000 from our annual golf tournament. We've also been successful in leveraging past municipal support to attract additional funding from the Ontario Trillium Foundation. Through these OTF grants, as Jenny mentioned, we were able to fully renovate the kitchen in our building in Flushing. This upgraded space now allows us to expand our programming, deliver more hands-on learning opportunities, and support youth in our community who are facing food insecurity. I want to emphasize that we take our fiscal responsibilities very seriously. Each year, our financial statements are reviewed by an auditor, and for the 24-25 fiscal year, we have undertaken a full audit to ensure complete transparency and accountability. All of this speaks to the Institute's strong financial health and our commitment to managing the funds responsibly, ensuring that every dollar we receive directly contributes to making a long-term impact in Grey Highlands in partnership with our community and with you, our municipal partners. Next slide, please. Thank you, Jenny. I'm so bad at the next slide. Thanks. As part of our presentation today, we are respectfully requesting that Council consider an annual contribution of $15,000 to the Hanley Institute. This funding would represent roughly 50% of our expected costs for program supplies and food in the upcoming year. These are the resources that make our programs possible, from art and cooking workshops to leadership training and life skills sessions. The support would also allow us to fully utilize our newly renovated spaces in our building. The upgraded kitchen and community areas have opened up tremendous opportunities for youth engagement, skill development, and food security programming. But sustained funding is essential to use those spaces to their full potential. Finally, an annual contribution from the municipality would provide stability for the programs that we offer. Knowing that a portion of our core programming costs is supported locally allows us to plan further ahead and focus on expanding opportunities for Grey Highlands youth. I ask that you don't consider this request as a handout, but rather as an investment. The Hanley Institute serves local youth here in Grey Highlands. These are young people who attend school in our community, live in our neighborhoods, and will one day be part of our workforce and leaders in our community. And hey, possibly on council, because Grey Highlands, I heard the timer go off, because Grey Highlands is not afraid of electing young people to council. This is an investment in the long-term health of our municipality. The Hanley Institute fills a gap in our community by providing programming dedicated to social and emotional development. We offer evidence-based programs that address anxiety, social isolation, and mental health challenges among our local youth. The work we do is the upstream social support work that reduces downstream costs in policing and social services. The Hanley Institute is fully transparent in its operations, and as part of the committed annual funding, we will commit to presenting Council with a review of our activities so that Council can see the measurable impact that your investment has had in our community. We will also commit to forwarding audit reviews and audited financial statements when they are ready. You will know exactly where the public funds are going and what results they achieve. It is a partnership built on evidence and accountability. I also want to stress the multiplying ability of the annual investment. Municipal support helps us unlock additional grants and community funding. Many funders view municipal contributions as a sign of credibility and community buy-in. Your investment becomes a multiplier that helps us bring more provincial, federal, and private funding into Grey Highlands. Our programs don't just benefit participants, they strengthen the social fabric of the entire community. This has been evident this year, as Jenny said during her speech, when former participants and so many other community members stepped up in our time of need. Our experience this year has enabled us to see firsthand the impact our programs have on the community. We no longer need to rely on hypotheticals. When youth thrive, the entire community benefits. In conclusion, this partnership would strengthen a proven community asset and ensure that local youth have a safe, supportive place to learn, connect, and grow. We hope that Council will consider a request of an annual investment of $15,000 favorably. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Aakash. I don't know if there's any questions for clarity from council members. If you're quite familiar, go ahead, Councillor Dubik.
It's always a pleasure to see you come through every year. So thank you for your visit this morning. Obviously, the Hanley Institute is a success. We see that in the community. It's not just a benefit, to the youth that are going there every day. It's a benefit to their families and to the community at large. So thank you for what you do. Just on the revenue and funding aspect, could you talk a little bit about sort of your confidence of, because you do have different, you've talked a little bit about sort of the various sources. Can you talk a little bit more about sort of your, some of those sources and the confidence of that being sustainable going forward? Because you are talking about expansion. So I'm just thinking about sort of how you think about your revenues kind of growing with your expansion.
So we're confident in our revenues growing. We're reaching out to local businesses. We're reaching out to local funders so that we can continue to remain a grassroots movement effectively. And so we are confident in our ability to secure local funding. We're confident in our ability to work with local partners to leverage smaller pockets of funding for bigger provincial funding. And we're working currently with Elephant Thoughts on a trillion grant application. So we do have those local partnerships that relay a high level of confidence in us being able to continue with our expansion and with maintaining the programs that we currently offer.
Okay. Any further questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mayor McQueen. Just, I think, a general comment. Yesterday I had an opportunity to have a community safety and well-being plan municipal subcommittee group meeting, and the whole topic was youth support and youth services. Right now, over 70%, or sorry, 65 to 70% of the situation tables that exist within Grey and Bruce are youth oriented. That's when there's a call for all services to come together to support an individual who's facing a crisis moment. We are seeing more and more youth in that situation than the general population, but also more youth than we'd like to see in that kind of situation. Programming and support like Hanley Institute supports youth that find themselves falling through different cracks that exist within other support structures. Sports teams bring together great mental health and group and bonding and friendships and stuff, but there are many youth that don't fall into the sports category. The kind of programming that Hanley does supports different and diverse personalities and types of individuals that exist. The other comment I just want to make in terms of the Hanley's programming is there's very subtle influence of the mental health supports throughout the different programming that exists. It's not like asking the students to come for a mental health talk. It's having the students there on a regular basis through different programming. And while you're there, you're implementing supports, you're discussing their situations, your other different aspects.
Sorry about that.
$5, Mayor McQueen.
Well, I am expecting a call sometime, right, Madam CEO?
So I just want to say, when it comes to the type of works that are happening at the Hanley Institute, there's very few youth-oriented programs to help these type of individuals. And so just a great thank you to the Hanley Institute for existing and the work you've already been doing and continue to do.
Absolutely. We did have an opportunity, a few of us in the summer, to tour your facility after your kitchen renovations, and I think that one of the individuals from out west maybe was going to donate as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because he was quite impressed about that as well. Like myself, who else? Maybe Tom was involved with that. I think Paul and Alan was there as well, so that sort of thing. All right, so we do need a motion to receive, and if not further direction. Go ahead, Councillor Dillard.
Thank you. So a motion to receive for information and to forward this request to the budget process, please.
Okay. Do you have a second to that? I'm going to go for Councillor Wickens this time. Question.
Just a comment maybe to, typically when we would just receive from like when we receive and direct to the budget, we just see the request kind of come up. I'm wondering if part of that staff could try to cost out what it would cost for the municipality to provide the programming. So if we're partnering or supporting the Hanley Institute, the price that they're asking versus the price for Grey Highlands actually provide that same level of programming.
Okay, that would be if there was a directive that we were going to do that program, right?
Right. And then more just, I think, trying to help council and maybe the community understand the difference in, if we were to try to do the same kind of programming because we want to support our youth, what would that cost be to hire the programmer and provide the space versus the request from the Hanley Institute to show the value for what we're proposedly getting in exchange for the costing.
So there was one time we were providing space at the community center, maybe when you were on council, for the high school students over here at the complex.
Hmm.
Per afternoon. You remember that, Madam CEO? There was something, I don't know anybody else, but Tommy, you remember that we were providing space for after school use. I think it was through some of the teachers or whatever. Madam CEO, do you remember that?
Thank you. I do remember we were providing some space,
It
but
was a
just,
partnership with the high school or something.
yeah.
I think.
Just in response to the deputy mayor, it's difficult for us to do a business case on this kind of service. This is not normally something a municipality would offer. I know the Hanley Institute have experts, teachers, educators, nurses. We don't have that staff on the payroll, so I'm not sure what we would offer council if it's not generally a municipal line of work.
So further from that though, I was wondering if, well, one, I've said this before, make a delegation request to the county. But through you part on the social side, do you have any thoughts through the county as well? Sorry to put you on the spot like that. The reason I say that is I've talked about this before, where Hanover got funding for the youth education spot, right? The training spot. Number of years back, 25 grand.
Yeah, so Launchpad did get funding from the county. Unfortunately, one-time funding doesn't mean sustainability, and Launchpad is actually shut down now in Hanover. So that's, and I know Hanover is facing a pretty good little bit of like a vacuum of services for youth because of that loss. There is, I think at the county level, it's hard to find operational funding for programs so much as it's perhaps find that capital funding. So if there was a particular capital expansion or plan for the Hanley Institute, there may be a better opportunity to come to the county to ask funding there than there is for general operations. But I would have to talk to staff at the county.
Projects.
Exactly.
Right? I know the county of Gray gave $25,000 to that program. I keep saying it every time you come, but you don't get it if you don't ask. And, and if you're saying it's outside of Gray Highlands to Southgate and West Gray as well, then that makes it more of a Gray County thing, right? So, okay. So going back to the part about your inquiry about a report on it, I think the CEO sort of brought some information back. Any follow up to that?
I think maybe just in my own mind, the cost of hiring like a programmer to try to build some of those projects is, I think, more where I was thinking. Like Gray Highlands owns spaces. We have a commercial kitchen that we could try to offer courses in and such, but we don't have the staff person who organizes and helps to bring together the services. And I think in my mind, that's kind of more what I was thinking, but I fully understand and respect what the CA was saying in terms of it is difficult to partner or marry one staff person with the level of service that the Hanley's bringing. I was trying to figure out a way to help explain the value for dollar. Like in my eyes, for Gray Highlands to try to do the same kind of project, you're probably talking about $100,000 worth of
You couldn't do much
time and staff. And then we're looking at a request for 15 to support
right.
the continuation of programming, but also the way the Hanley treasurer has explained, Mr. Desai, talking to the way that they can exponentially use that funding to source other funding. So it was just a way to try to help explain or perhaps justify when you're looking at a cost benefit ratio, as we should with every budget decision, right, Mayor McQueen?
Probably some of your research, if you found other municipalities that were involved, that might help what you're trying to discuss there. But certainly having municipal support certainly helps any funding grant through any kind of a process that way for sure. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's good. Well, thank you.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me go a little over.
Yeah, I wondered, I figured you'd notice that, and I didn't say anything, but I mean, through the procedure by law, I can be called out and I can be, you know, but
I did start talking a lot faster.
I looked at the clerk and I looked at you and you're talking and I think you went over about 2.5 minutes over, but anyway, that's
I
okay.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, take care. All the best. Yep. Alrighty. Sorry about that. My son couldn't find the tractor, so he had to phone me. Needless to say, moving on. Okay, so we'll move on. We've got lots of time yet. Usually try to break around 11 o'clock. So moving to section 7 of our agenda, adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting. I need the minutes of September, I guess that'll be October 1st. October meeting be adopted as circulated. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Allwood, second by Councillor Deputy Mayor. Any errors or omissions or any discussion on those sets of minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Oh, sorry.
Mayor McQueen,
Sorry about that. I got to get used to you being on the screen. So sorry, but I'm just go ahead.
9.3 is the sale of the Osprey properties. Just a little one word missing. If you go to the bylaw, halfway down where it says now therefore, the first bullet point, I think, needs the word surplus.
Oh,
I don't know how critical it is, but we need to declare it surplus.
yeah. Madam Clerk, do you have a comment to that or Madam CEO? Yeah, so that's a quick little, yeah. Thank you for that.
Housekeeping.
Absolutely.
Thank
And
you.
I apologize for missing you there, Councillor Allen. I'll be a little bit more tardy and looking at my screen. All right, everybody, that's like I said, a friendly housekeeping. Everybody's okay with that? We did pass the minute, so we'll move on then. Thank you for that. All right, so don't go too far, Councillor Allen, because you're coming up. So under corporate administration, there is no reports. So moving on to section 9, CLS and Planning. I'm going to move the chairmanship over to you, Councillor Allen, for a report that you have in front of council.
Okay, thank you, Mayor McQueen. So item 9.1 is 2026 budget timeline and strong mayor powers implications. So the motion would be that council receive report CLS 2026 budget timeline and strong mayor powers implications for information, and that council approve shortening the council override period if required from 15 days to 5 days. So if I could get somebody to move that and second to get it on the floor. Councillor Dubik is moving that. Councillor Allwood is seconding it. Discussion, or do we want the clerk to just point out exactly what section we're dealing with here?
Through you, Chair Allen, I'm going to need clarity on what you're asking me to point out.
Well, what section of the strong mayor's powers? I know it's the 15 days to 5 days but where in that whole document are we talking?
So thank you for that clarity. In the chart provided, the last item in the chart is the deadline for members to override the mayor's veto. That's the period that I am requesting that council shorten, which is allowed for in the strong mayor section of the Municipal Act. The reason I am suggesting this is just to meet up with our council meeting timelines. The overrides have to be done at a council meeting by resolution. So in order to make that happen, this meets our regularly scheduled meetings. If not, we would have to add in an additional meeting just for that purpose. And it's only if required, if it gets to that point that council feels the need to override something that had been previously vetoed. So that's why that recommendation is in front of you all today.
So just I'm not quite following. So if there's a decision at a committee of the whole meeting when we're discussing budget, if the mayor makes a decision, council has the ability to override that. So by shortening it from 15 days to 5 days, if we don't have a council meeting coming up within 5 days, does that work? Or am I not grasping how this works?
Thank you. Through you, Chair Allen. So within that 5 days, there's our regularly scheduled council meeting. It's actually 4 days in. I added an extra day because it's February and you just never know what could happen. So I wanted to make sure we had an extra day just in case a meeting got canceled because of weather or something like that. But I believe it's, I don't have the date in front of me. Is it February 18th is actually a council day, a regularly scheduled council day, and that's 4 days after the veto period ends. And so that's why I suggested that we shorten the period.
Okay, got it. So you've scheduled things to work into that 5 days. Got it. Okay.
Yes, there was some thought put into it.
Okay. All right. That's great. Now I understand, and everybody else, if they didn't before, do. Okay. Any other discussion? Councillor? No? Nobody? Councillor Dubick?
Great, thank you. And thank you for that clarity, because that's where I was going to as well. So, on the 14th, then, the mayor, that's the mayor veto deadline is February the 14th, then, which is a Saturday. And so then, for the member, for the deadline for member to override is proposed as February 18th. So that's in 4 days. So it's over a weekend. So in terms of business days, it really is just 3 business days then. And so I do wonder about, and so I do appreciate in terms of, there's different factors to consider, but I also do wonder in terms of the activity that council may need to do and the timeline required, so if something is vetoed by the mayor, would council maybe need more time to consider, what has been vetoed and maybe prepare for the next sort of discussion. And maybe in my mind, 3, if we have only 3 business days, I'm not sure if that's giving maybe council members enough time to digest and come back, if there was a rebuttal, to come back with facts and a further discussion. So my concern is the ability for council members to react to the veto actions.
Okay. Who would like to respond to that? Mayor McQueen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to respond to Councillor Dubick, to my discussion with the clerk, and we had a lot of discussion around trying to fit everything in to these tight timeframes. And then the bigger part was we could have special meeting days to accommodate those timeframes. And I guess that's the discretion of this council to do that. It just, you have to bring everybody in for a special meeting, which is extra cost as well, right? So, but I don't know, and it's all about these timeframes. And Madam Clerk, can you just speak to those timeframes? I just think we need to have that clear, because after we go through the budget process and those 4 days that are scheduled, can you just speak to the timeframes that who can do what? I think that if you could just clarify that.
Thank you. I know Chair Allen can't see me, but
Yep, no, I can now.
through you, Chair Allen. So when Mayor McQueen and I originally discussed this, we had talked about shortening both periods, his veto period as well as council's override period. The problem is the legislation doesn't allow us to shorten his veto period. So he was willing to, shorten his period and make it kind of even both ways. And unfortunately, the legislation doesn't allow us to do that. So which is why only the override period shortening was in front of council as a recommendation today. again, it is at council's discretion what you want to do. If or when the mayor overrides, or sorry, use the right term here, vetoes, something that council, so to get to this process, the mayor has presented his budget, council's made amendments, the mayor has vetoed those amendments, and then potentially council wants to override a veto. So at this point, there has been plenty of discussion. There's been lots of back and forth. And when the mayor chooses to veto something, whether it's a Saturday or a Friday or whatever day, he has to notify council and myself and the CAO that day. So whether he would do that on a Saturday or not is up to him. But potentially he has 10 days and he could have done it day one of the 10 days. So I think that I don't think that there's going to be much more investigating to happen at this point in the process, my personal opinion. But as always, it's up to council what you want to do.
Okay, thank you for that response, Clerk Nalstein and Councillor Dubik.
Thank you. Just just as a follow-up, in terms of that response, given it is a new process, I know I put this motion on the floor just to get it moving, but I do have hesitation about shortening our period too much. It is a new process. I too thought through sort of the full process steps and thinking, well, would we be sort of in a good position anyways, given sort of all the investigation that's been going on for the past few months. However, given it is a new process and depending upon sort of what the veto comes back as, I do feel that having 2 business days, because really on the Wednesday you're already in a meeting, may not be sufficient. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Councillor Allwood.
Thank you, Chair Allen, through you. Again, it is a new process, but I believe, the 30-day period that we have and those 4 scheduled meetings, if required, are when we will be having the critical budget discussions. The 10-day veto period after that is legislated, but I think we would have, I agree with the clerk, we would have had lots of time to consider those major issues during the 30-day period and up to 4 meetings at this point. If it's a question of, the mayor vetoing and then council having an opportunity to override a veto, I think that is not going to be a long process if it happens, if it even happens. So I'm not that concerned about it as the finance liaison. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other discussion? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you very much, Chair Allen.
My internet is a little bit shaky, but so if I get lost, the mayor will take over, I'm sure. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair Allen. A question for the clerk. So I understand the premise that says the mayor's veto deadline, which is the last day for the mayor to be able to veto amendments. If we look at the schedule timeline, January 12th should theoretically be our first budget meeting. And if the mayor vetoes an item on January 12th, council can't veto something until so that's the question, right? Like, so the meeting process is the mayor has an ability to veto a direction of council. The deadline is the timeline, but I'm wondering, can the veto the day of a decision?
Through you, Chair Allen, the mayor cannot veto anything until the 30 days is up. So the 30 days would be February 13th, I believe.
Right. So
that's when his veto period starts. He can't, so council gets 30 days to make amendments. The mayor can't veto any of those amendments during that 30 days. Then once that has ended, then his 10-day period starts. And then once his 10-day period ends, then the override period begins.
Vetoes due within 10 days after amendment period. So what I was trying to understand is when through the table, the 2026-02-14 specifies the mayor's deadline. It says the last day for the mayor to veto amendments is that day. But that doesn't mean that's the mayor's first day. Do you understand the confusion I had there, right?
Right.
And so then my question was going to be if the mayor can veto at any point. Question number 2, for some sections of the Strong Mayors Act, the mayor requires support for veto, but the budget, the mayor does not. For clarity.
The mayor does not require any support for a veto within the budget.
Okay.
Uh,
Any follow-up?
In fairness, sorry, if I may, Chair Allen.
Go ahead.
Thank you. It is a new process and it is something we're all getting used to. And it is tricky to stumble through the first time. As this process continues on in years to come, the budget process will become a budget process and everybody will be more comfortable with it. Trying to understand the implications. The other thing was, I do know that the legislation does specify that any changes to the timeline is for that current year only. It doesn't actually extend to the next one. So we would have to do the same process if we're going to change or reduce the timelines for the next budget process, then that would have to happen again then. This changing of 15 to 5 doesn't future budget discussions. So that's good to know because it's just kind of like, yeah, we're all wading through new legislation, trying to figure out what it means and how it works. So yeah, thank you.
Councillor Elwood.
Thank you, Chair Allen, for you. I just wanted to point out that, there are several points in this process where if there are no amendments and the budget is accepted as tabled, there's no vetoes, it's accepted as tabled. There's no provision within this process at the moment to have a public consultation, which we have in the past. So there doesn't appear to be a public consultation process. The public will see the mayor's budget on the 6th of January, the same time council sees it. It becomes public, but just wanted to bring that to council's attention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Mayor McQueen?
Yeah, good points raised, and that was something that myself and the clerk talked about, where could we include that public process in? Just in our discussion with the clerk, myself and the clerk, we're just trying to stay on the same process as last year, because we had a presentation of the budget before Christmas. Everybody had the Christmas break to sort of, other than Christmas, if you wanted to spend, the whole time looking at your budget, but it was that introduction early. So then, and then in January last year, we had 3 or 4 dates that we had the budget process. So it's trying to stay on the same framework as in the past. These other parts that they're sort of something that's new and the veto and all that type of thing. But also as Councillor Elwood said, that the public, well, we'll have that special committee of the whole meeting in December, so the public can see that as well. As well as the that's the draft, and then I guess it will be, if there's some tweaks or changes from that to let's present it in the first part of January. There could be changes, but that will be the framework of that start of that budget on January 5th, I think it is, and that type of thing. So certainly, I guess a question I have to the clerk, I guess from a process, I guess the process could get changed if it's getting a lot of debate. Is that possible? That extends it. So all of a sudden we go through the budget, there's a lot of discussion, we have it shortened. I guess the only person that could change it would be the mayor, who could extend that, and that would be a special meeting. Is that a possibility? To you, through you, Chair, to Madam Clerk.
Okay, Clerk Van Alstyne.
Thank you. The only thing that could be added, I believe, would be additional meetings if council during the 30-day period was continuing to have more amendments, that we could add additional meetings in there. I'm not sure if
But so if you get into that, as we are passing this budget through you, Mr. Chair, of shortening it, But we get to those, maybe those extra meetings, once this is passed, that time frame is locked and loaded, is that? Like, so we get to the third meeting, or we get to the last meeting, say it's the, what's the last meeting in January? It's the 28th, if needed. There's the 26th and the 20, if needed. We get to the 28th, and there's a lot of maybe more discussion needs to be had. Can that be extended before we get into that? Well, yeah, there's legislation in February that has to fall into those dates as well, right?
So through you, Chair Allen, yes, we could add in an additional meeting as long as it still was in that 30-day provisional period. So the 30-day period ends on February
28th.
the 4th.
Oh, February 4th, yeah.
So we could schedule an additional meeting. I did look back at previous year's budgets to find out how many meetings it generally takes, and I was hopeful that 4 full-day meetings would cover it. But
That's sort of staying on the same time frame, yeah. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much, Chair Allen. Just another question I have too, seeing as we're having this in front of us. The first date of the budget timeline is the Committee of the Whole budget, draft budget framework. Within that, its council may provide recommendations to the mayor. During that meeting, is the council seeing a draft budget? Like a preliminary budget scope? Like how is council supposed to give a recommendation if we don't know any of the numbers or don't know any of the projects that are already part of it?
Clerk Manalstein.
Thank you through you, Chair Allen. The plan is to have a draft of sorts in front of council. What exactly that's going to look like is it's again a new process for everybody, so I'm not 100% sure what it's going to look like. But we wanted, the mayor provided direction to staff to present something. This is not his budget at this point. This is just where it kind of stands from staff's point of view. Because if the mayor were to present his budget, the 30 days would start.
Now I did see Councillor Allwood's hand. Do you have another comment?
Actually, it was a point of clarity around the same issue, Chair Allen, if I may.
Okay, sure.
So on the December the 2nd, it was my understanding that we're not going to see the budget because, as the clerk just pointed out, the 30-day period would commence if the mayor presents his budget. So I'm not sure what exactly we're getting. We would certainly see any of the, at this point, the mayor has given some direction, but I guess if that's changed or there's updates, we'd see that on the 2nd, potentially. But we would not see a complete budget on the 2nd. So I'm just looking for a point of clarity on that. That's my understanding. I just want to make sure I'm correct in that. Thank you.
Okay. Clerk Manalstein.
Through you, Chair Allen, staff's perspective on that is we would like to have in front of you generally what you would normally see in previous year's budgets. So all the capital items, the operational items, and if the mayor has made amendments to any of those items prior to that time, we could maybe make a note on there. But the mayor will not be presenting his budget fully at that time.
Okay, thank you for that. Mayor McQueen.
So that the whole idea that is sort of to be open and transparent to council to see what staff are bringing forward. There was a direction to staff that was provided, and you'll see that in the report. And the other direction was this to also include the financial liaison, Councillor Allwood, to be part of that. So which is similar to the past as well. So trying to simulate as much as the past as possible, given the legislation that's there. But then once you get into that time frame, it's locked and loaded, and then you're in that process, right? So.
And Councillor Dubik.
Oh, just Mr. Chair, I think the treasurer has a comment before.
Okay. Director McCarthy.
Thank you, through you, Chair Allen. I just also wanted to emphasize that the difference between what you'll see in December versus what you see in January is that what is released by the mayor in January is essentially his approved budget, whereas what we present in December will be somewhat preliminary, and there will likely be changes before what is finally released in January.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. Councillor Dubik.
Thank you, Chair Allen. And thank you for taking the time because it is a new process for all of us. So we're just, really trying to wrap our heads around sort of what this is going to look like. But then on December the 2nd, so we'll see sort of what we've seen in the past, including sort of like items for consideration, because that was a very, I think, important sort of section for us, to see sort of a wholesome a wish list of, in terms of projects. And then on the January 5th, so that's not a meeting. It is just a release of, hey, here's the information so that we can, so council, well, so the community and council can start to read through the mayor's budget, tabled budget, so that we're prepared on January the 12th. Did I get that right?
Through you, Chair Allen, yes, that is correct. On the 5th, the mayor just has to send out the budget. It needs to be made available to the public, to council members, as well as myself. And then the first meeting to make any amendments, it would be scheduled for January 12th. So that gives a week for council to see kind of what the mayor's presented.
Carry on, Councillor Duvick.
Thank you. And then just back to that conversation about public consultation, because there's no specific I guess sort of requirement within the legislation itself. It doesn't state for that. It's been a tradition for us, as municipalities, as council, to ensure that, we do have that forum to, to bring it together. Obviously, throughout the whole process, council members do receive a lot of emails, and we get a lot of, we get an earful of sort of, wishes and comments on sort of on the budget. But just wondering, is there a way, back to the clerk, is there a way to use, I don't know, whatever that may be, strong mayor powers to actually add in a public consultation forum? Is there a way to sort of work the system to actually add that if that was a wish of council and the mayor? Thank you.
Clerk Feldstein.
Through you, Chair Allen, there would have to be direction, a mayoral direction provided if we were to do any sort of public consultation or regarding the budget, because it's essentially his budget.
Okay, so we'll go to the mayor and then over to Councillor Wickens.
So just to add more to that, sort of like the clerk and I talked about that, we sort of struggle. So where would you go? Do you go to the draft budget from staff? Do you go with the budget that's presented on the 5th of January? Or the time frame, once you get to the end of that 30 days, you're locked a little bit on if there's, back and forth, then do we schedule something during that from, what is it, the 28th to the 4th, so that the 30-day period ends on the 4th of February, but then the deadline to veto starts. So unless you could schedule something, in there, and I guess, like as the clerk has said, that could come anytime in through the process. It's just because it's such a and to go with three different hypothetically budgets, like you could go with the draft budget that's presented from staff, you could go with what's presented in January, or you could go with a budget that's maybe been worked over by the end of January, which probably would make more sense if you're going to the public. But it just, what would be the right spot? And I guess that direction could come anytime as well, right? So, but it's not like the normal one, because normally we would go through the budget. This is where we land it through all the motions and stuff, and then we get comments from the public. The other question I raised to the clerk was, and I think Southgate's doing this. They're doing a poll on the website. They're doing a poll through their website. I don't know if we talked to Brian on that. And interesting, and I know I'll raise this back when the strong mayor came out. a lot of mayors were passing over, they can't get away from the budget process. It's part of the legislation. Every mayor in Ontario has to go through this process. It's what it is. So I'm sure this council's not unique to any other councils across the province that are dealing how the process, how we roll this out, right? It's sort of where it is, right? And I don't know, Madam Clerk, have you picked up on what other councils are doing? I know you talked a little bit about Southgate and they're doing an online poll online. What do you think it's interest this year? Like, I think we did that before as well. Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Clerk Manalstein?
Thank you. In speaking with the other Grey County clerks, we had a meeting last month and we talked about specifically budget and strong mayor powers. And it was anonymous throughout, other than one other municipality, that they were not going to go with a public meeting for their budget. One, because of the timelines allotted, and two, because generally it's the same group of people who also can provide their comments through email or other sources. The mayor and I did discuss the potential of going out for a more general, as opposed a general survey, like even around this time period, as opposed to when the budget's actually released, and just to kind of find out what the public's priorities are and whether they think things are going well, not so well, which was the one I did discuss in Southgate. I thought that they had done a good one personally. And so I had suggested to the mayor that maybe he could take a look at it and tell me what his thoughts were. But for any of that, we need a mayoral direction to do anything at this point, whether it is a meeting or whether it's a survey, anything like that.
Okay. Councillor Allwood, and then Deputy Mayor. Okay, Deputy Mayor, then Councillor Allwood.
Sorry,
Councillor Wickens,
Councillor Wickens has had his hand
Sorry,
raised for a little
Councillor
bit.
Wickens,
We're all
sorry.
just trying to be polite. Let Councillor Wickens go
Yes,
first.
Sorry, Councillor Wickens, first time.
Thank you. It's, first of all, it's my wish and hope that none of this conversation is needed to start with, and we work together as a democratic team as we should, come to a consensus on the budget, and democracy rules. This whole strong mayor powers thing is, I don't know, it's completely alien to me. It's dictatorial, and I think Mayor McQueen has made his feelings known that the will of council will rule in the end, but that's all I have to say on this.
Okay, thank you. I was actually thinking the same thing with Councillor Dubik's comments about, just a few days. I don't think the mayor is going to try to be sneaky and, veto something or, at the last moment. So it's harder for council. I think we'll all work together. We've been doing it for 3 years now, so I don't see why that'll change. So, okay. I think the order was Deputy Mayor and then Councillor Allwood.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Chair, to that? Can I make a comment to
Sure.
that? So these are challenging parts
Absolutely.
of this process. And I think it was mentioned by the treasurer that, so we've had, myself and Councillor Allwood have had a look at the operation and a look at the capital for a high level conversation. We've had some conversation. Certainly, I think it's important that maybe if there's some suggestions made that on that draft point that, this is some thoughts of where, as you probably are aware, a direction of 2.5 for operational was provided to give some guideline. And so when that comes forward, you'll see where that has, from the staff's perspective, is coming back at. And so there may be, and I think that's a good part, there may be some from the conversations of myself and the liaison of some suggestions, if there are at that draft part, to sort of lead some of that challenge, some of that discussion. So I just wanted to follow up with that, Mr. Chair, just to say that absolutely, I think from a council's perspective, there could be some suggestions in there from what's presented for myself and the liaison.
Okay, thanks for those comments. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much, Chair Allen. Just a quick comment regarding this and some kind of pointing on what Councillor Allwood said earlier. The biggest difference that I can see from this process is that when the budget was presented to council before, council had to give direction on the items to say yes or no, we're approving these items. When this budget gets presented on January 12th, for like on January 5th, the budget is approved. The budget is approved in principle because, as Councillor Allwood said, unless there's a veto or amendments, the budget is deemed approved. So the difference in the way the way I'm looking at this process is that when the budget is presented, it is not coming to, it's not the same process of asking council to say yes on every item. Do we agree? And we're going to say yes to this capital item or capital project. The budget is being presented as here's the mayor's budget as tabled through the legislation, and that budget is approved subject to council trying to make an amendment to that budget. And it's just a different mindset of how we're going into the budget process and what the expectations should be. That's just a comment I wanted to make from my understanding of what we're doing here.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Allwood.
Chair Allen, the clerk had raised her hand. I know you can't see her, but she meant the clerk may want to respond to the deputy mayor's comments before I speak. Thank you.
Okay, Clerk Van Alstyne.
Thank you, through you, Chair Allen. I wanted to note that generally what the deputy mayor said is correct. However, there's still that 30-day period, and until that period ends, the budget is not approved. So when it shows up on January 5th, it is being presented as how the mayor would like to see it. But there's still that 30 days and nothing happens in that 30 days. It is not an approved budget until that 30 days ends. I also wanted to give a little bit of context to that committee, the whole meeting that's happening in December. That is not a requirement of the legislation at all. That is the mayor doing that so that council can see the big picture and see the whole budget, because what he presents will not show things that have been cut. So this is the mayor's way of trying to keep council involved and keep it open and transparent to the public as well as yourselves. So that is just over and above. And so I just want council to understand that, you know, he's doing his part to keep everybody included.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Allwood.
Thank you, Chair Allen, for you. To address the deputy mayor's comments, I mean, what we used to see in the previous process was the staff's budget presented to us, and then the budget deliberations process. So technically, it's just we're seeing a mayor's budget, but that mayor's budget is being prepared with staff input and direction from the mayor. So and to address Councillor Wicken's concerns, the process doesn't change radically. Council has 30 days for scheduled meetings to go through. Some of those items may have been cut between what we see in December the 2nd and but council will be aware of those, and you know the amendment period would allow
Or maybe add it.
Thank you, your worship. Council will know will have a record of that basically because of the December the 2nd meeting. So I'm not overly concerned that we've lost the Democratic and council's input into this budget process. Councilor Wicken as a finance liaison. The other thing I just wanted to mention about public input, on December the 2nd, the public is going to see what is presented in council's committee of the whole. So we will start hearing from the public whether or not we need to schedule a town hall or a public meeting is over to the mayor, but I guarantee you that from past experience, councilors will hear from the public once the material is presented on December the 2nd. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, Mayor McQueen, last comment.
Yeah, it just got me thinking, to what Councillor Allwood is saying, is would it be prudent or suggestion that we have a public commenting period from that draft budget? And how could that look like? What would you want to see that look like? Because as Councillor Allwood is saying, this is what there's been a bit of a direction given. This is what staff has brought back. I mean, you can't get any better feedback on a, you know, at that point. And would that be like, an online comment? Because we've done that in the past. We have had that and the comments come back to council. Or would you want that to be, the day it's being presented? Well, so that day it's being presented to council on, it'll be published a week before, correct, Madam Clerk? 3 days, okay, 3 days before the 2nd of December. Okay, so 3 days doesn't give much time, but I mean, can that decision be made? Does that have to be made now, or is that something that through the mayor's power that can be decided at another time? That should be decided today? You know, this is the discussion, this is on the table, so what's your feedback on that? So I guess through you, Mr. Chair, comments back from the clerk on that, and then
Okay.
council.
Clerk Van Alstine?
Thank you, Mayor McQueen, through Chair Allen. At any point, you can give the mayoral direction to go forward with a open house, town hall, whatever the direction would be. Survey, sorry. The struggle for me with that is that at that point, council hasn't had their input, and even yourself haven't made your, you know, brought forward your budget. So I think that you may hear a lot more than you. I don't know. I just think the budget will be quite large at that point because there hasn't been any amendments made to it yet. So I just think that would be a hard time to ask the public for their comments. But again, staff will do as directed.
So, Mr. Chair, just a follow-up to that.
Here, go ahead.
So if it comes out on the 2nd of December, we have a meeting that day for council. It's being introduced to council, which has had 3 days prior to that for councilors. The public gets a chance to see that. If we were to have something of the week, I know it's getting close to Christmas, and I know that's an issue that you got to try to respect as well. But if you had a public feedback and including council's comments, which could be considered as that time before that's being drafted for the December 2nd, or for the the January meeting. What's your thoughts on that, say the middle of December, of having that feedback process, whether that's online, that's in person? I don't know. Obviously it'd be something that I would have to put that order in, but what's your feeling on it? Or can that be decided after that? Like all of a sudden there's a lot of comments. I guess I'm speaking to council, is that something that council would feel beneficial or not? So if going what the clerk is saying, it's be released 3 days before the December 2nd meeting, council is just getting an opportunity and to ask questions as well at that meeting, right? So that's the draft budget that's come forward. Would 2 weeks after that or a week after that be something scheduled that would give the public that chance to do that feedback? Because obviously if there has to be some rework or whatever before December or January date, I have that time to sit down and think about that and have that conversation during business hours with the clerk, not during Christmas or Boxing Day, or the treasurer. Yes, but yes, but if there is orders, whatever, yes, to the treasurer and staff. So I guess through you, Mr. Chair, I guess that could be something that could be done after the 2nd if felt that there was a lot of feedback in that, or is that something that should be scheduled? I mean, we do have time. It doesn't have to be done today. But it's something that, and again, the clerk and I struggled of where would that public process come in? And I, you know, as anybody knows me, I'm not against the public feedback. I think it's always important that we go through a process to get public feedback or have that opportunity. It just, we've had different ones. We've had public open houses that just talk about the budget, or we have actually an opportunity to staff to give it a little bit of a run through, and then the public gives comments at that same meeting. So I'll stop there. Mr. Chair, I see the CAO has her hand up.
I can see the whole council table. CAO Govan.
Thank you, Chair Allen. I think council might be overcomplicating this process. The public always has an opportunity to email. We have a specific email address set up, budget@greyhighlands.ca. Generally, typically, when we receive feedback from members of the public, it's about two things. One, the tax rate that's being proposed, and two, the level of service. And the level of service, as far as I know, hasn't changed dramatically at this point. So the members of the public are always encouraged to be involved in the budget process, and they can attend budget deliberation meetings or committee of the whole. But the as far as I know, the budget at Grey Highlands website is live, and anybody at any point in time throughout the year can send their comments in. So I think at this point, trying to establish the public side of this might be a little bit of an overthought. I think we just need to go through the process as closely as council is used to, we're all used to, and that's the advice that we're all being given from the staff level to mirror this as closely as possible to your existing system. And then that way it eliminates some of the confusion. Clerk Van Alstyne's done a really good job of outlining those statutory requirements, but I think we might be overthinking this a little bit too much. And you know, if correction is needed along the way, our clerk will certainly give us the legislative requirements, but I think council needs to approach it as normal as possible, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, I think I'm not seeing any more hands, so we've been at this for a little bit. So I'm going to read out the motion that we're going to be voting on again, just so everybody, public knows. So the council receive report CLS 2526, 2026 budget timeline and strong mayor powers implications for information, and that council approve shortening the council override period, if required, from 15 days to 5 days. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much, Chair Allen. Can I just split the question?
Sure. Okay. So we'll just be voting first on receiving it for information. So all those in favor? Okay, I'm having internet issues. Can you hear me all right? Okay. All right.
We can hear you. We got all hands
So
raised.
that is carried. All right. So the second part then would be that council approves shortening the council override period, if required, from 15 days to 5 days. And all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, vote 5-2, that is carried. Back to you, Mayor McQueen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for a procedural point, it says if required. Yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah, that would be the part of that. Okay. Well, we've had a lot of good discussion there, and I think just on that if there's a feeling that there needs to be a public thing, that can still happen. I think we need to take a break. So I'm going to suggest 11:35. Does that work for everybody? All right, take a break, 11:35. All right, welcome back, everyone. And moving on then to our agenda, item 10, community service. There's no reports today. Moving on to item 11, environmental services. And there is one report there. I'll pass the chair over to you, Councillor Dubé.
Thank you, Mayor McQueen. So I'll read out the motion. We're on item 11.1. The council received report ENV.25.24, water and wastewater rates bylaw for information, and the council directs staff to bring forward the 2026-2031 water and wastewater rates bylaw for council's consideration. And the council directs staff to bring forward a bylaw to amend the fees and charges bylaw 2025-009 for council's consideration. A mover, deputy mayor, and a seconder, Councillor Wickens. So the floor is open for discussion, and I do understand we have Director Moyer on standby as well. Okay, so no questions or discussion? Okay, I see none, so we'll take that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 12, finance, and there are two reports, and I'm going to pass this part of the agenda over to you, Councillor Ballwood.
Thank you, Mayor McQueen. Item 12.1, the strategic asset management policy update. And the motion would be that council receive report FIN.25.10 for information, and that council approve A09-F-07 strategic asset management policy update and direct staff to bring forward a bylaw for approval. So could I get a motion and a seconder to put that on the floor for discussion? Thank you. Moved by Councillor Dubik, seconded by Deputy Mayor Nielsen. It's basically just a little housekeeping on our asset management policy, but I'll open the floor for any questions, concerns, or discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 12.2, the debt management policy. The motion would be that council receive report FIN.25.11 debt management policy for information, and the council approve draft debt management policy and approve the draft debt management policy and direct staff to bring forward a bylaw for approval. That's moved by Councillor Dubik, seconded by Councillor Wickens. And I'll open the floor for questions. Mayor McQueen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question to staff then. So if council decided to go beyond that ceiling, then we'd have to pass a motion outside of the policy.
Director McCarthy.
Thank you. Through you. There's no recommended ceiling within the policy. If we wanted to go beyond the ceiling, that would require ministry approval.
Excuse me, I had trouble hearing the last part of that. That's right. One speaker at a time, please. Go ahead, Director McCarthy.
If we wanted to go beyond the ceiling that's specified in the Act, which I don't see any reason for that, then we would require approval to do so. So I did not recommend in this policy that that we incorporate a limit at this time.
Follow up, Mayor McQueen.
Yeah, I remember reading 25%, but you're right, it's not being in the suggested. But I know at the county a few years back, they passed it. I think it was 10%. But they've blown that all out the heck, I think, with Rock. Are they staying within it with Rockwood? Okay. I know that it's always challenged, but I guess in the sense of as you keep raising your budget or your revenues, I guess that 10% keeps growing as well, right? But yeah, so that's, are there other municipalities in Grey County that have a ceiling or a level through you, Mr. Chair, to the treasurer, if you're aware of?
Director McCarthy.
Through you, I can't speak, I guess, to specific municipalities, but I did review quite a few policies, and some have limits and others don't. So if council wanted a recommendation to include a limit, I could perhaps come back at the next meeting with some considerations. However, I do feel that there's enough other financial indicators, I think, that would kind of keep us to a limit that is more sustainable than what we could achieve through the ARL.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Queen. And Councillor Dubik.
Thank you. So if I may, just two questions. So first, just a point of clarity for my own understanding. So on page 7 of 13, the debt charges is stated 1.165 million as of April. And then when I flip down to page 13 of 13, we have a total actual and pending amount of 2.046 million. So that's as of October. So just confirming that those are the same numbers, but at different timeframes. And so what we've seen is an increase over six months or whatever that is.
Director McCarthy.
Thank you. Through you. That's correct. I recently, our FIR was published, and our new limit that will come into effect on Jan 1st, 2026 became confirmed, I guess. So that does represent an increase in our limit for us.
Go ahead, Councillor Dubik, follow up.
Thank you for that clarity. And then just a general question. So, so you've already touched on the fact that, the recommendation is not to have a limit beyond what is legislated, given the fact that there are different other factors that kind of keep us in check. Just wondering if you can just maybe elaborate on those, if you can provide some examples of what those different other factors are so that, so there's a bit more understanding of that. Thank you.
Director McCarthy.
Thank you. There are several, and also a host of other unknown ratios, I think, that Infrastructure Ontario considers when they're looking at our application. But some of them are published annually by the ministry. After we publish our FIR, then they send us our financial indicators report. And that includes ratios such as debt service coverage. And I know that was one indicator that was kind of a bit higher than Infrastructure Ontario would have liked last year when we submitted our application. There's debt service per capita. Those are the two that come to the top of my head, but there are certainly several that we do monitor on an ongoing basis.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Seeing none, then I'll call the vote for the motion that's on the floor. All those in favor? That's carried unanimously. I'll turn the chair back to you, Mayor McQueen.
Thank you, Councillor Lloyd. Moving on our agenda, 13, fire, police, and safety. There is no reports for today. Item 14, transportation and public spaces. There's one report that I'll pass the chair over to Councillor Wickens.
Thank you, Mayor McQueen. So item 14.1. Request for council support on application for Markdale Connecting Link funding. I'll read it out here. The council received report TPS 2522, Markdale Connecting Link funding for information, and that council of the municipality of Grey Highlands support the project for the Highway 10 Connecting Link in Markdale, and that the municipality will fund its portion of the total project costs, and that if the application is successful, the 2026 budget is approved, the municipality will proceed with the project in accordance with timelines specified in the application. Councillor Allen, is that you putting that on the floor? Yes. And you're seconding it, Deputy Mayor? Okay. Mayor McQueen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just on page 3 of 34, it shows the total chargeable to MTO is 5 million. Total chargeable to Grey Highlands is 1.934, whatever. So I guess in theory is what you're reading in the motion to the treasurer, then basically if we got approved, then we're committing to the 1.9 of that project if they got approved, which I would say that would be an ideal candidate to debenture, because if you look at, you're looking at getting more than $2 to $1, right, to do that. So that would be one of those no brainers, if I may say it that way, just in the sense of going down that process of debenturing because of the value. My other comments on that, is on page, so then going down to where the, road sections are. And I was trying to go through where all the roads are and look at, parking, along the side of the road so that I see coming into the intersections. There's uplandings, where was it? Gray Road 12 and, down the downtown part. I see that there's, well, at the intersection, I see there are turning lanes, which is, I think, something that we've talked about, especially trying to move traffic through, Markdale. And I guess I see that. So that's on page 17. So while 17 is the main street. So I see the turning lanes and parking, which we always see, but you can't have parking next to the turn lanes, or you got to give up one lane to get the turning lane. So I would assume that those two intersect, or both ways on that intersection would be the advanced green through you, Mr. Chair, maybe to our director. So they would be advanced green, or at least to get people allowed to move over to let traffic continue through, because that is a bit of a problem in our Markdale because of increasing traffic and stuff. So I don't know if there's any discussion there or not, just trying to, confirm that would be the case through you, Mr. Chair.
Well, I lost my train of thought there for a second. There was a,
So my question, Mr. Chair, was this
Yeah.
through you to the director, just talking about the turning lanes at the intersection of Gray Road 12 and 10?
Mhm.
And would they be advanced green and all that stuff? Because they are incorporating those extra turning lanes, which
Yep,
would help move traffic through. Markdale.
absolutely.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
You have.
I think we'll get Director Cornfield to speak on that.
Thank you.
Right.
Workings to Mayor McQueen. Keep in mind that the intersection is still controlled by the county.
Yeah.
The intent would be, obviously, the construction would have the turn lanes there. As far as the implementation of an advanced green, that's something the county would look at. When the fixtures, if you will, the traffic signal fixtures are going to be sourced, they will have that capability. But again, the intersection is controlled and owned by Gray County, so it'd be something. Typically, they would reach out to the municipality. Would you like to see this? There's concerns, and they would move forward. So,
Yes, Mayor McQueen.
So follow up, then I would presume that the county has been circulated on this, and have they made any comments on that advanced screens? Because I know something, or would that get more into, oh, well, all of a sudden you guys are awarded the contract if you need to talk? Like I just personally, I think that advanced screen does help move the traffic through, but I don't know if they've had any comment from that part.
Director Cornfield. Oh, CAO Govan.
Sorry to jump in there. I just want to advise council that staff have been working with the county on an MTO on the Highway 10 corridor. There is a consortium of interested parties that are willing to get together to look at a comprehensive traffic impact study. Chapman's, Loon Paul, the downtown purchaser has expressed interest. This is getting the attention of the MTO. And of course, traffic impacts are their major concerns. So we're taking a holistic approach on this to incorporate all of the growth in Markdale, and the county is actually taking the lead on the traffic impact study. So they're well aware of the connecting link application going in, and will also be a commenting agent on this overarching traffic impact study.
Mayor McQueen.
Thank you. And just thank you for that, Madam CEO. And just going back, I guess it's page 20 of 34, then getting down to the intersection out here by the that comes in for the hospital in that. I don't know if there's any changes. I'm just sort of looking. There's a turning lane that we implemented a few years back. Because at one time it was talked about when the hospital is here about would there be some priority put on for the hospital turning in here, probably the volume's not there, but if there's some future usage of that intersection, would that be also taking consideration through you, Mr. Chair?
CEO Gauvin?
Thank you, Chair Wickens. Through you, that intersection is also being incorporated into the traffic impact study.
Right.
MTO have been brought, it's been brought to their attention that there could be significant delays in accessing the hospital, and that's a concern of theirs as well. So we'll be looking at all options to get the flow of traffic through Markdale through as quickly as possible.
Mayor McQueen?
So just in summary, then, this is sort of like draft one, possibly. Do we need to incorporate that into the motion, or is it, I understand that this is subject to change? As long as it's not putting us into a box that we can't change it.
Director Cornfield?
Mayor McQueen, this is not unlike what we did with the Flushing Connecting Link. As part of our application with the Connecting Link funding process, the application has to show support. The council is willing to fund the project, their portion of the costs associated. We're working with Hydro One as well. The draft of design is basically what you're seeing at this point. We've also, the last couple of weeks, just cambered all of our sanitary and our storm sewers. We want to make sure that, you know, those, if we do a reconstruction, that something down the road doesn't fail. Now's the time. There's a section from the intersection, Grey Road 12 to Caven Street. There's concern about the sanitary being undersized. So that's being incorporated. So this, obviously, when we go to tender, council will also have that opportunity to see the full design and the costing associated with it. So what's in front of you today is basically council committing that should the project go forward, if we're our application, you're supporting the application, and should the province award us, you're committed to your share of the funding of the project.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I do have a couple questions. I don't know if I have to relinquish the chair or not for this. It is providing an opinion. So I think that would be prudent at this time.
Okay, I'll assume the chair then, and Councillor Wickens, you have a couple of questions on that motion.
Yeah, so on the utility relocation, so I believe that's taking the overhead wires and putting them underground. And this is just for the First Street North and the First Street South of Grey Road 12. I'm thinking that's, and we have a price tag of $750,000. And I'm led to believe that this may or may not qualify for MTO help on the funding for this. I just wondered if Director Cornfield, if you could shed some light on this.
So that's on the light part. We'll hold off on that. Go ahead, Director Cornfield.
Mayor McQueen, to Councillor Wickens. So the hydro relocation from overhead to buried is something that the municipality has been working with Hydro One. We've had the original preliminary cost estimate presented, that was presented here to council. We've also went forward with them to have their final design, which will have a more accurate cost. I think anybody that has paid attention to the poles and the infrastructure that we're only paying a percentage of the cost of the relocation because of the prorated portion of the system. Grey Highlands cost 40% of the overall cost, which I think is reasonable considering what we're doing as far as moving the above. We'll know more about actual costs when Hydro One, we're working with them to hopefully see something in January for the actual true costs associated.
Okay, if I may. Yeah,
Aldo?
so anyways, it's a huge price tag. I think that if Ontario Hydro wants to put it underground, they could pay for it, but anyways, that's all for now. Thank you.
Well, just on that, I think Councillor Wickens, Director Cornfield said that that final drawing or draft will come back for council's approval.
Yep.
At that time. So. Okay, anything else?
No.
All right, so it's been moved in second, and if there's no further discussion on that report, all in favor? That's carried unanimous. Oh, sorry, Councillor Allen was there too, so carried unanimous. Okay, what are we doing here? We keep going. 15, no motions, motion was given. Notice of motion protecting Ontario farmland, creating an Ontario farm belt for protection land. So that process is now, that's coming forward at the next council meeting. So that's notice of the notice next meeting. Consent agenda, we have a number of items. Are any of those items wish to be pulled for separate discussion? I did add the one on 17.6 for information, just for that. Go ahead, Councillor Dubé.
17.7.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you can explain a bit more on that one. Any other ones to be pulled? Lots of minutes there. Okay, if not, can I have a mover and seconder? Okay, that items on the consent agenda be approved with the exception of 17.7. Deputy Mayor, you're moving that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wickens? Any discussion on any of those minutes? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Just purely entertainment value. That Dane Nelson guy, I wouldn't trust him. In the letter from the ministry, it says Dane Nelson. I don't know who that is.
Oh. Should we ask for a rebuttal? We can, you know.
Oh, you big right.
Okay. Yeah, it's too bad that they can't get your name right, eh? But any other discussion on any of those other minutes? There's through conservation, well, 2 minutes and information report from Saga. If there isn't any other discussion on those for information, all in favor? That is carried. Okay, Councillor Dubik, you had pulled 17.7.
Yeah, so thank you. So, and I do hope maybe Director Moyer is still online as well, so that we can bring him in, because he probably will be a lot more articulate about sort of summarizing the situation. It has been a bit of an ongoing issue. So as we know, we are transitioning the Blue Box program, where the producer responsible organizations, which are regarded as the PROs, will be running a province-wide Blue Box collection system. And the transition is happening January 1st, 2026. And there is, we do need to address the small IC&I establishments because they will not be captured within the collection of the Blue Box system. And to address that as a municipality, we will continue to allow the small IC&I businesses to drop off their recyclables at our waste deposit sites. I will maybe hand this over to, if Director Moyer is online, maybe to provide a little bit more sort of context around that. But we do also have a motion because what we would like to do is, given the fact that this service will no longer be provided as of January 1st to our small IC&I businesses, we would like to send out a letter as soon as possible to them to inform them of how we will be moving forward and how we will be helping to assist them as of January 1st. And so that will require a motion so that staff can reach out to our businesses and inform them of the new process going forward.
So I'll let Director Moyer speak first, and then I'll come back for your amended agenda or amended motion that you have here.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, Director Moyer. You heard all that?
Thank you. Yep.
Okay,
Through you, Chair. So, Councillor Dubik's correct. So, this process has been moving along over the last number of years, where the pros are going to be providing the recycling collection for all residential properties within the province of Ontario. A number of municipalities have been lobbying them after the regulations were wrote to include the small ICNI in this collection. That was heard, and all along we have been kind of going under the assumption that there would be a small quantity that each municipality would be allowed to include in this collection. We just, or yourself, received this letter last week stating that the pros are not set up to take that quantity, and they will not be continuing that collection. So all along we've been trying to work with the pros to get an agreement to still continue on the way we were. Unfortunately, that is not able to happen. So they did agree in the letter to allow us to collect it at our depots. So as of right now, that's kind of our only option. So what staff need to do is just to notify the small ICNI. We have people or businesses, sorry, that collection isn't, but we still have an option for them at this time. And then we will continue, as I believe most other municipalities will be, to lobby the province to try and sort this out and ensure that if there is an option in the future to include it in future contracts, that we would work towards that. So I think unless anybody has any other questions, that's all I have right now.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to Councillor Dubik first. If you have any follow-up to the director, and then I'll go to Councillor Olin.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sean, for providing a good summary of the situation. And as Director Moore did state, this is something that, you know, our municipality with other municipalities will continue to advocate for sort of a better solution. You know, but we do have a motion to ensure that we are keeping our ICNI businesses informed and ensuring that they know what their option is.
Okay, I'll come back to you shortly. Go ahead, Councillor Olin.
Thank you, Member Queen, through you to the director. We council given staff direction that we wanted to look for, we had some options, one of which was not to provide this service, but we gave direction. We were looking for a report back on how we would continue to provide this service to our ICNI customers that are not eligible under the pros. So I just wondered where we are in that process and how that relates to what you just said about notifying our customers of options.
So you're looking for more information, Councillor Dubik?
Yes, so I believe Director Moyer would be in the best position to answer that question.
Okay, Director Moyer, how best we notify? I think it's a question.
Through you, Chair. So try to answer Councillor Allwood's question. So Council did give support and direction to staff to move forward, and actually gave the treasurer and myself the delegated authority to negotiate. As our last report to council came back, when it was looking like we were able to provide the collection for up to 2% of the total volume as ICNI, and then to negotiate that. And then we would have then come back with a report. What we were thinking would have been good news, saying this is what the cost is going, or we have negotiated, and we will continue on as usual come January 1st, 2026. Unfortunately, the direction that it was headed was cut short as per this letter. So as of right now, the previous direction is not possible, and this has been kind of forced upon us, so we won't be able to collect it other than at our depots coming January 1st, 2026. And we can look at in the future, looking at some sort of a collection, but unfortunately right now that's not feasible.
Councillor Olin?
I'll follow up if I may. So the eligibility under table 1, is that off the table now? There was
Hang on.
Yeah, I guess that's the question is, does that still apply?
So sorry, through you, Chair, table 1 of the previous report.
Table 1 of the attachment to this, so it's on page 4 or 5.
And it says would not be eligible, and it says would be eligible, and it's table 1, municipal buildings, BIAs, and other IC&I.
So they are not eligible for curbside collection as per this letter, but they would be eligible for collection at the depot.
That's right. So I guess in the sense, the list that's there, it says if collected more frequently than a single family curbside, if setting out more than one cart, if BBM placed beside your container, or if 2% of the single family stops are not on residential route. So if it didn't qualify, then that would not be eligible. And it says eligible if collected at the same frequency and single family curbside, if setting it out in one cart, if all BBN in the container, and if 2% of single family stops on residential routes. So if it doesn't meet almost the residential portion of that, as we've talked about, then it won't be eligible. That's sort of how I read that, right? As it says, right? Is that add clarity, Councillor Owen?
No, I guess I just wanted certainty that the the would be eligible part of that does not apply anymore from this letter. So, I mean, if it was collected at the same frequency as single family curbside, if they were setting out one cart, if all the materials in one container, it's less than 2% of single family and on the residential route. So we're not picking up any ICI at the curbside that would meet those criteria as we move forward.
So as an example, if somebody wanted an extra recycling cart, the second cart wouldn't be eligible. Would that be a fair statement? If you had a home business that was generating more than one cart, it says one cart, right?
Well, I'm thinking of our
commercial industrial
small businesses on Main Street that currently put out their recyclables in a single recyclable cart.
So business owner A, we won't get specific, puts out a cart that's full of recyclables. The program we won't be reimbursed for that collection unless they take it to our landfill. And that's the idea of probably sending out the letter. If they continue to put it out, I guess that's the question. Are we going to continue to pick it up if it's out there? Because right now we're picking it up, right? That's your point, right?
Yeah, my point is this, and I also have some concern about how we enforce that, because you've got residential and apartments above our Main Street businesses. You've got multiple bins out there that are there are multiple recycling and waste bins for the apartments and the businesses below that are currently picked up. How do we how does that change? And how do you distinguish which is which? Yeah, how does one distinguish? How do you enforce it if that's the new rule? And it's just an additional burden on our small businesses, which as putting on my Chamber of Commerce hat, I'm thinking is not something that they'll be looking forward to in this, given the current economic conditions. So,
feedback, Sean, Director Moyer, sorry.
Through you, Chair. So that's exactly what we're looking for today, is a letter from council just supporting, or I guess direction from council to send out a letter to these users. The enforcement of that is going to have to come from the province. They're the ones that are initiating this collection, and they will be the ones doing the collection. So come January 1st, 2026, if those carts are out there, as far as I know, it will be up to them whether they collect them or not the municipality, unless we get further direction from the province on how to enforce this. So our part at this point would be to send out the letter and just say this is where we can collect that IC&I, and then we will look for further direction from either the province or the collector on what bins get collected or not.
Go ahead, Councillor Owen.
So, I mean, currently Waste Management picks up our Main Street carts. How would they know which you know, which carts are eligible to be picked up from a recyclable perspective on Main Street.
Dr. Moyer?
Through you, Chair. I think we're getting into some nitty gritties here, but that will be up to them, not the municipality. It's not our direction. We're sending out the letter to say, no, it cannot be collected there. It should be taken to the depots. But as for who's policing it, at this point, we have not been given the direction from the province to do that. That would be up to the pros. Or in our case, since Waste Management is got the contract for this area, it would be up to them.
So letters are sent, if it's passed today, letters are gonna be sent to the uneligible owners or whatever. January 1st comes, the bins aren't picked up. I can imagine whose phone's gonna ring first, but it's gonna be an issue. I hope not, but yeah. And I guess the thing is it'll probably have to be maybe a reinforcement letter in January or communication, right? It's gonna have to be a number of, I think that's your concern. I'm sorry, what is come January 1st, is everybody going to, okay, I'll take it to the landfill. I'm happy, we'll do that. Maybe not, I don't know. Any further up, Councillor Lloyd?
No, I'm still absorbing some of this, but you know, I can see that there are going to be issues. You know, we were talking about cutting back on littering in Grey Highlands. God forbid that people just decide that disposing of it is. Anyways, I'll stop.
Do we have an idea, before I go to Councillor Wickens, how many letters we're gonna have to be sending out? Councillor Dubik, do you have that information, or anybody have that? Are we talking like 100, 200, 50, 25? So, Madam CEO, do you have that, or Director Moyer, sorry?
Through you, Chair. I believe it's between 90 and 100 letters.
Wow. Councillor Wickens.
And so, if a resident wants to have more than one garbage bin, I know that they can purchase another one and it goes on their taxes and they pay more. Can they purchase an extra recycling bin as well? Is that?
Director Moyer, you can buy an extra garbage bin. Can you purchase an extra recycling bin as for curbside? Or could you in the past?
Through you, Chair. So in the past, yes, as a municipality, they would contact us, and then we would, if it was residential, because that's what the curbside collection is meant for, we would then schedule that to be delivered, and they would have to pay the costs for the delivery of the cart. But moving forward, I believe the way that will work is it will have to go through the pro, or in our case, like Waste Management. But I think the process will be similar to, as long as it is strictly for residential collection.
Councillor Wickens?
But there would be nothing stopping anybody from actually having like a family business and slipping in their commercial recyclables into an extra bin. It would probably be more economical for them to do that than to trail it to the landfill. I'm just saying. It's this is likely to happen. So thank you.
So clarity, what Councillor Wickens was saying is a resident could purchase an extra recycling bin. If they had a business, they could be putting it in that second recycling bin and get it picked. Yeah. Okay. Councillor Dubik.
So just in terms of where we're at right now, this isn't the situation that we were hoping for.
No.
And I think our staff and other municipalities have been doing a very good job bringing up these issues because, you know, if the bigger goal is to ensure that, you know, we are maintaining good processes to pick up as much recycling as possible and to avoid, right, aversion and to avoid any additional litterings or et cetera. This is why our staff and other municipalities have been advocating for, you know, the small ICNI businesses. So we're not where we want it to be, unfortunately. But I think, our best next option at this point in time, is to redirect, those customers to our depots.
Well, I guess to start with is from the idea of your motion that's going to come forward is to draft a letter and be sent to these 90 individuals to inform them. I guess the question in the sense of waste management is currently, if there's 90 bins that are no longer eligible, they're not going to be picking them up. If that's the case, and do we get a bit of a break on our contract if they're not picking up those 90 or dealing with it? But on the flip side is then it's going to be up to those individuals to deal with delivering it to their landfill or however, whatever. I don't know. I think we may have to circle back after the letters get sent out and see what kind of feedback we get. I don't know. I can imagine what, anyway, maybe we'll come back to this in a month's time. So Councillor Dubik, you're going to draft, Councillor Elwood, then I'll go to Councillor Dubik for
one final point of clarity. So they're going to be able to take their recyclables to our waste disposal sites, but have to pay for that service or not pay for that service.
So it will be a free service.
Yeah.
Oh, and Director Moore may want to just add to that.
It just means they won't get curbside pickup, but they can take it to the landfill with no cost.
Yes.
From that,
Through
go ahead, Director
through
Moore.
you, Chair. Through you, Chair, that's correct. We accept all recycled material at our waste and diversion sites, any one of the three, for free.
Just to follow up to that, Director Moyer, the carts aren't ours. They're part of the contract. Will the contractor be collecting those carts back up if they're no longer eligible to be picked up? Because it's a contractor's carts. They're not the individual's carts. Will they be in the new year be collecting those carts?
Through you, Chair. Currently, you're correct. The carts are the property of Waste Management. We do not know what that will look like as enforcement, and that is not part of our purview. But if we get further direction, again, they're Waste Management carts, so they will be responsible for that. Now, there's a lot of them that are servicing properties that are residential and commercial. So until we find out further what that means, that those carts that have the partial residential will stay out for that collection, as far as we know.
And just hope they continue to keep picking them up. Councillor Dubik, then, thank you, Director Moyer. You have an amendment or a change to the motion that's on the agenda.
Yes, please. Thank you. So the council received the update on industrial, commercial, and institutional recycling collections for information. The council directs staff to send letters to all industrial, commercial, and institutional customers, informing them of the changes to curbside blue box recycling collection as mandated by the province, effective January 1st, 2026. And that staff continue to advocate for the reinstatement of curbside recycling services for IC&I customers under the new system.
Okay, so you're moving that, Councillor Dubik, and do I have a seconder, Councillor Wickens? Madam Clerk, I don't know if you have a copy of that, so we're good. Discussion on that motion. Question I have, institutional, is that schools and churches? So I'm thinking of the Robbery Church that puts their carts out every 2 weeks, then I'm presuming they'll be getting a letter. So, and then, I don't know, Paper Crest, they do it.
Big schools have
Probably their own bins and stuff like that. But if they're like private school, like the one in the valley, maybe. So institutional would be probably more like churches. However, it's owned. Okay, any other discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. And Councillor Allen voted as well, so that's unanimous. Okay, what do you guys want to do? You want to take 12:20, take a break, we'll come back and do the general announcements and closed session after lunch? Yeah, but and then go, and then take a break on the closed session. You want to keep going? Councilor Wickens? Oh, we got whatever you prefer. I guess closed session won't be that long. Councilor Wickens?
Okay, I just was conferring with my cohort here. Let's take a break.
Okay, so you want to take lunch then?
Yep.
Madam Clerk? Oh, you might be challenged here. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor McQueen. Just for logistics, it would be a lot easier if we did the general announcements part now and just came back into closed session.
That's what I
if
would,
that's-
yeah. So can we do that? All right, let's do that and then we'll do the close. We'll say we're going out and coming back and then that'll be our break. Okay, general announcements. As I've mentioned a few times, the hoedown that's going to be in Feversham on the 25th is canceled. Unfortunate. So just found that out yesterday. There's some trivia's coming up. Rockland trivia on the 24th. Is it 18th? I thought it was the first. Oh, this Saturday. Okay, I kept thinking it was the 24th. Okay, yeah, I better get on that one. Are we putting a team in?
We'll discuss it.
Okay. Okay, Rockland on, so I know it's a Friday night. Deputy Mayor, you must have a list of things that you want to say, so I'll think about what the other ones I need to say.
Thank you very much, Mayor McQueen. Just a couple of general announcements regarding some Halloween activities coming up. On Friday, the 24th, the Markdale Recreation Committee is hosting the Boo Bash. With the Markdale Arena being closed, the Boo Bash will be located at the Ansley United Church. There's going to be a playing of the movie Halloween Town, as well as some mask making and other activities for children. The Hanley Haunted House will be taking place on Saturday, the 25th of October at the Hanley Institute in support of Halloween. And that is it from myself.
So just getting clarity on the chamber event, Councilor Lloyd, that's this Friday night.
That's correct, Mayor McQueen, October 17th, Business Awards Galas at Homestead.
We'll Saturday night. Well, I kept saying it's Friday night.
And also on November the 3rd, 3 o'clock in Southgate is Coffee with the Mayor. We'll be talking about, I believe the focus on that event will be the downtown revitalization in Dundalk.
Yeah, you better specify which mayor.
Mayor Southgate.
That's right.
Sorry, that's right. Wasn't clear on that.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Wiggins.
Well, just a question for Deputy Mayor. What time does the Halloween thing start in it for the Hanley Institute, sorry.
Thank you very much for putting me on the spot, Councilor Wiggins. I believe 7 p.m., but give me 2 seconds here. And I will have that answer.
There are two different times, 5 p.m. for the non-scary part and 7 p.m. for the
scary stuff.
Oh, scary. Okay, and Councilor Wiggins, you did talk about a trivia in Badger's. What's that date again?
I could, but I believe we're full, so we don't need to advertise anymore.
Well, it's just, when is it again?
It is Friday, October 24th, 7 o'clock.
That's
Questions
important.
start at 7:30-ish.
Right. If you any other general announcements? Oh, sorry. I keep forgetting. Look, I apologize, Councilor Allen. Go ahead.
On October 21st at, I believe, 7 p.m. at the Kinplex in Flesherton, the library is having their Harvest Cafe.
And you can get advance tickets for that, or is it just tickets at the door?
You can get advance tickets, yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. Councilor Elwood.
Thank you, Member Queen. There was one other chamber event on October the 23rd. It's an after 5 at the Durham Art Gallery in Durham.
Okay. Wow. Councilor Deputy Mayor. Just trying to pull up my calendar here.
I forget there's always so much more activities. Just wanted to reach out or speak out to the duck race that happened this past weekend at Rotary Park. They sold all 1,000 ducks. So they brought in $5,000 through that. The prizes went out. It was quite the event. I would say there was over 200 people that were there to witness the duck race heats. They had 3 different heats. So that's fantastic to see. And all the funds that Rotary is raising right now is their plan is to go towards repairing or replacing the bridge that was at Rotary Park, so there can still be access from one side of the river to the other.
Okay. That's a lot of ducks. Did they retrieve them all?
No ducks were harmed in the making of the duck race.
Okay, Councillor Dubé.
Thank you. So just a reminder, this Saturday, at the, parking lot of 7th and 4th, the Friends of the Kimberley Forest, will be doing their, celebration for all the work, and improvements they've been doing there with the parking lot and with their signs and with the paths. So lots to
At 2
celebrate
o'clock?
there. It's at 2 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah. I'm tentatively, but we're going to be doing a major roof job this week or that week. So you may have to bring greetings if I don't show up.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Just give me a heads up.
Yeah. When it comes to roof and then having a time frame, it may be important. So. Okay, does that take care of any general announcements? All right. So then it's right now it's 12:26. There's 1 o'clock. Make it too tight for everyone. 1:05. 1:05. All right, let me just read the motion here then. That council proceed into closed session at 1:05 to discuss matters related to the following: acquisition of land, Markdale 239 2K, a position plan, whatever, all those information that's there, and CAO Govan and Treasurer Anna McCarthy, along with Clerk Amanda Fines Van Nulstide will be in attendance. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Lloyd. Okay, gotcha. All right, any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. So from the viewing public, we're going to take a recess for lunch and we're going in camera at 1:05.
Recording in progress.
Disappear. Is off screen there for
Are you wondering about me? Yeah, I opened up the other one because I
Okay, we're back into open session and we at 1:54. And I do have a motion here to report out of our in closed session. That a closed session meeting was held and only closed session items identified were discussed in the closed session, and that council has provided direction to staff to proceed with negotiations for the process of constructing a regional OPP facility in Markdale. And the council has directed the treasurer and the CAO to report back to council on the project. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Allwood, Councillor Wickens. Any discussion? Oh, sorry, I'm back here to the screen. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. All right. So moving on then, confirming bylaw that the bylaw 2025-081 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on October 15th, 2025 be read first, second, and third, and finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same notwithstanding any contrary provisions of council. Who would like to put their name on that? How about somebody on the screen? Councillor Allen and Councillor Dubik? There we are. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried unanimously. We have a number of meetings coming up. October next week's gonna get busy. If there's no other discussion on our today's business, can I have a mover and a seconder for our adjournment? Deputy Mayor, somebody from the screen? Councillor Lowhead beat you to it. All in favor? That is carried, and we are adjourned at 1:56. Thanks, everyone.